Hey everybody, it is Taylor of Summer Del Sol here. Today I'm going to be working on creating a bracket for my air intake system since I've got a donor based on the 1990 NA Miata, so it's very early, which means I'm still using a gigantic MAF sensor. So I need something to support that that's not zip ties ideally. Secondly, I'll be working on replacing my very high-end Dasani water bottle with Amazon's finest Overflow tank. And pictured here you can see those very zip ties that need to go. The goal in mind is to use this bolt in the engine block to hold up the mass airflow sensor. I plan to use these threads here to connect a nut to a bracket, which will then lead to that engine block bolt. Very thankfully, I am a lazy pack rat, and I still had some old sensor components that were basically meant to hold those into the stock car. I'm gonna see if I can get a little creative with these. And I think I may have found a winner here. And the biggest plus? But before I get ahead of myself, I do need to do a little bending to see how this is gonna fit. So with the finest tools in hand, as per usual, I wrangle this bad boy into shape before drilling the hole out so it will actually fit. I did a little mock-up here and quickly realized it was going to be advantageous to remove that hose up top, so I had a little more room to work with. But even with it on, I was still able to install the nut. And with it loosely fitted, I quickly realized this interferes with the headers. Dang it! Thankfully, with the right leverage, I was able to pull this out, and it seems to be staying nicely in place. TBD. And because I always edit with continuity in mind, I completely and totally, of course, put this hose back on immediately after finishing this project. Did not forget. Obviously. Hey, one thing down! Look at me go! It is now time to shift attention to this water bottle that will no longer serve as the overflow tank. With the zip ties clipped, it's time to fully remove this bad boy. And with that, it's time to check out the new hotness. I'm pleasantly surprised. This costs like 30 bucks on Amazon. Not bad. It's pretty sharp, isn't it? A little sparkle in it? Alright. Ho ho. It is the ultimate coolant. So the original plan was to mount it here, but there is some piping that does get in the way. Others have had success mounting it to this point. Unfortunately, I did not. So I'll pivot and put it somewhere in here. So since there actually wasn't too much on how to mount these things, here's a quick look at the bracketry. I've got these two mounted here at the base. This somewhat bent component here sits up against the overflow tank, and the clamp goes behind this bracket to hold them together. You can also extend this or shorten this as needed, but I'm going to try and keep it pretty tight together. So to put it all into motion, here is exactly how I will be mounting this to the overflow tank. You can see where the clamp goes over this. It's kind of a pressure fit, which is not necessarily ideal, but it seems to be pretty snug once installed. I tighten that up and hopefully it'll be good to go. So as I mentioned, this is how I will be pivoting. I'm going to try and get this as low as possible to fit under the hood while also ensuring a snug fitment. Right now I'm just mocking it up to see exactly where I want it to go. With my location determined, it's time to drill the two holes to install the bracketry. I am no longer fazed by drilling into this chassis, and past me would shiver at the woman I've become. I'm a monster. With the bracketry in place, it was then time to add the secondary bracket and tighten those down with two nuts below. Next, I slipped the clamp on over the bracket, slid the overflow tank forward facing with the nozzle toward the radiator, and then tried to align this as best I could to where I knew I had a secure fit, but also had it sitting well below where it would need to be clearing for the hood. Feeling like it was in a good spot, I tightened it into place. With everything installed, it was time now to put the new overflow hose in place. I connected first to the radiator and then back to the overflow tank. Now you'll notice this hose is bright orange and has nothing to do with my color scheme, so it will be removed almost immediately. But I know I'm going to want to start this car again pretty soon, so it's good to go ahead and install things and make sure they're not going to leak. Also, if you think about dirt on a hunter orange hose, it's too late. It's just too late. But even with replacements, that's 2 more things down that I'm excited to check off my list. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching and following along. Your support absolutely means the world, and I cannot wait to catch you next time.